Peter Mary here, the Fun Wedding Guy. This is episode 11, taping here in Toronto, Canada. I'm getting ready to fly home in just a few hours here, and I just finished having breakfast with a friend of mine I'd like to introduce to you. His name is Dave Hastings, and he's the president of the Canadian Professional Disc Jockeys Association. He's been quite a host while I've been here in town, and I thought I'd take a few minutes to talk to him about some of the fun experiences he's had with his wedding clients over the years. So, ladies and gentlemen, please meet Dave Hastings.
Hi, everybody. One of the interesting stories that Peter and I have talked about since he's been here in Toronto is a story about making sure that you play the right music at the right time. Pre-preparation is an absolutely vital thing that you have to make sure you do. And in one of the situations that I had back in the days of vinyl was I had a gentleman who walked into a wedding with a double copy of, or a double album from the Talking Heads. He wanted to hear the very last song on the very B side of the album, normally the part that's considered where the recording engineer goes to the band, guys, we need to make some kind of noise that we can use to fill the back 3 minutes of this album, otherwise there's going to be a big blank spot. Well, this gentleman walked into the actual event. I listened to the song on my headphones, and it sounded like someone was trying to strangle a cat. Ultimately, I listened to it and said, okay, I'll make you a deal. If the bride and groom together, not individually, but together, say that they're willing to come and let me play the song, but they had to come over and approve it first, then I'd make it happen. Long story short, he walked over to the bride and groom, showed the album, and he turned around and said, oh my God, we forgot to tell Dave. I put the song on, and expecting the dance floor to part like the Red Sea, well, I was very pleasantly surprised when people literally were running to the dance floor to the point where they were turning furniture out of the way that was tumbling across the room to create pathways to get to the floor. What I didn't know is that they'd played this particular song 8 times at the engagement party. It was the bride and groom's university fraternity theme song for both his and her frats. And halfway through the entire song, the entire room hit the floor and started doing the worm. Everybody's legs were in the air. You could tell exactly where the bride's garter was, but unfortunately you could also tell where the bride's grandmother was wearing. And I've been in therapy ever since. It's been a very, very scary thought. But, you know, 20 years later, and that thing has never, ever left my mind. Hopefully one day it will. So there's a story for you that'll guarantee a little bit of fun. Ultimately, another story. I was doing a wedding for a professional car club member, and the parking lot was filled with every single type of classic car you could ever think of. Being prepared for this, I came in with a sound drop that went, "Your attention, please. With the owner of the lime green Pacer in the parking lot, please leave." A gentleman that was shadowing me on the event got up, put his coat on, went, "Oh man," and literally walked across the dance floor with his head hung in shame. 230 people literally exploded into laughter. Timing with regards to a sound bite is everything, and that's something that you can use at events going forward. A couple of different ideas.
Thanks, Dave. So I've got to ask you, one of the things I was hearing a lot from DJs here is that the duration of a wedding reception in Canada tends to be a little longer than what we're used to seeing in the States. What's the average length that people expect a wedding reception to last up here?
Generally, most people will tend to arrive about 5 o'clock, with the ceremonies happening an hour and a half to 2 hours beforehand, so photographers have time to get pictures. So the average event, if you're doing the ceremony, can start at 2 or 3 in the afternoon. From there, you take care of your cocktail music, your grand entrance introductions, and things along that line. But after speeches go through, our parties don't wrap up right away like they do in California. We actually go and dance literally right through till 1 o'clock, and overtime in a Canadian market often means that you're going past 1 a.m. in the morning. The whole idea is you want to make sure that these people go out on a bang versus a whimper. The old concept of it's better to burn out than to fade away comes in very, very handy. But in a Canadian party, we don't worry about the idea that, you know, somebody has to go home to watch Saturday Night Live. We make sure that the entertainment is happening right here on the dance floor every single time.
That's fantastic. One of the other things that I heard a lot about is that it's very much part of the tradition here locally for the best man or even one of the family members to serve as the master of ceremonies at the wedding. In your experience, what tends to be the result when that happens?
1 in 10 might get it right. A situation that happened at a banquet hall that I do a great deal of work at, the management at this particular venue is very big on making sure that their food comes immediately off of the grill, directly onto the plate, and directly served to the client within literally about 2 minutes. Well, the master of ceremony was informed of this, yet he decided he was going to take and do a 5-minute roast on every single person in the 12-person bridal party. 25 minutes into things, the banquet manager comes over to me and says, "Dave, shut this guy off." And I go, "I'm sorry, but unfortunately it's the master of ceremonies. I really can't do that professionally." So she walks across the room, takes my wireless microphone out of his hand, bonks him in the forehead with it to the point where you heard this incredible thud. She turned around, took the microphone away from him, and said, "It's time to eat now." There was a spontaneous round of applause that lasted for probably 3 minutes, and for some reason, that particular MC became very quiet and very distinct in what he was saying for the rest of his presentation. But the whole idea is that when you've got to work with a schedule and keep things on time, you have to know what you're doing. This person, unfortunately, took a situation and decided to run his own game without telling anyone, including me. And like I said, the bonk in the forehead was probably one of the most exciting ways I've ever seen someone actually get the point, including the concussion that went with it.
So now, are you starting to see more of the disc jockeys in this area offering to serve as a professional master of ceremonies?
Absolutely, without question. One of the things that I've noticed is that the people that experienced our no conference that we've just had over the last 2 days literally went through a life-changing experience with regards to information and ways that they want to take things forward. Their professionalism and dealing with professional MC, there's one thing that's very, very important that a lot of people don't understand. It's that anybody can go up there and say, "It's time to introduce Uncle Fred, who's going to say a few words." But that's the easy part. It's when things go horribly wrong that a professional MC's skills and abilities to work with the unexpected gives you the opportunity to be able to move things forward and make sure that what goes on, it seems like it's been planned since before the bride and groom met. That's what's important, and that's why you have a professional at the helm. You wouldn't put someone who has no experience driving a car in behind the wheel on a Formula One race. This is what happens sometimes, unfortunately, when you have an MC that doesn't have the skills. They crash into the wall, and everybody's very unhappy because somebody just got burned. Unfortunately, with the bride and groom, you can't rerun the race after the yellow flag. It's a one shot to get it right.
Yep. Well, Dave, thank you so much for your insight and your time, and thanks for being such a great host. It's been great to be here in Canada with you.
Peter, it has been a phenomenal honor to have you here. And anytime you want to come north of the 49th parallel, you know exactly where to come, because you're always welcome where we're going.
Well, folks, that's episode 11 of The Fun Wedding Guy. Thank you for tuning in. And tomorrow, as promised, I'm going to show you video footage from one of my earliest wedding receptions in January of 1995. Be prepared to laugh. I probably wasn't dressed as professionally as I do now. You'll get a kick out of it. And I hope you tune in and enjoy it. I'm going to get on a plane, fly back to the States. I'll be seeing you all real soon. My name is Peter Mary, and this is The Fun Wedding Guy.